Is there any reason why you're not modeling it directly in Omniverse?
Only because Rhino has a lot more drafting, drawing facilities and everything else. But it doesn't matter because Omniverse, OpenUSD would allow me to create a mesh model in Cyclone or this or that, an E57, and then be able to integrate them all and use them all without any problems about proprietary formats. Because that's the other thing with digital twins is if you've got to convert that information into a proprietary format, so you can use it and it be hosted in their cloud, that they're happily renting your information back to you, then you're stuck because it means that the first question anybody should ask about that provider is, what's the exit strategy? How much is it going to cost me to get my information out of that digital twin hosted application? And how long is it going to take? Because who knows, that cloud provider may be bought by your biggest competitor. And suddenly they've got access to all your information. Or you might want to move it internally to your private cloud, or there's all sorts of things. You want to have that flexibility. But naturally, companies want to suck you into their ecosystem. It makes it absolutely, I don't blame them. I just think they should be more honest in many cases about how do we get out of this if we don't want to. We're acquired by something, by another company. They've got their data in another place. We've got now two systems that don't talk to each other. There's lots of reasons, very good reasons, for wanting to be able to move your data from one server to another. And I think that's the other question is, and when it comes to selection, in 5 years' time, you may be kicking yourself if you didn't ask that question.
What do you think generally about Omniverse?
Generally. Okay, well, we're getting sucked into a data system there. But
can I just add to that question?
Yeah, sure.
I've seen from because I have not tried it myself yet. I have been speaking to people that are running on it already on Omniverse. I have been speaking to people that were working so far within the Unity or bit of Unreal and hesitating whether to go to Omniverse. At the same time, I see a huge potential of the Omniverse, and at the same time, not enough usage on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Is this your experience as well, or do you see any shift going on? Or
I think it was telling when I asked at that conference how many people at the reality capture conference knew about OpenUSD. A handful of people put their hands up. I think it's largely about education, and currently it's not people are ignorant; they just don't know what they don't know. They're too busy, delivering models and point clouds and things like that right now. But I see my role as being a bit of a missionary and saying, look, if you want to make this more flexible to your clients, don't box them in, learn about USD, OpenUSD, and how you can interface that with it. I'll give you an example. So Omniverse has an open connector to Rhino. I've been using Rhino for 25 years for all my modeling. What that means is I can have 4 different people working on Rhino at the same time, updating the real model in real time. It's the ultimate HTML for 3D because it will allow you to bring in an E57 that's drone or SLAM data from a Chinese scanner or whatever you do, but you can bring them all in the same place. And then you can manage them and attach information to them because you can attach an infinite amount of meta tags to your object, your USD object. You can change variants. You can have a blue one, a black one, just by pressing a button. Because the interesting thing about USDs is it allows us to change things very quickly. Ordinarily, if I wanted to do a before and after, I'd have to do a mesh model before and a mesh model after. I don't need to now. I don't have to import 2 different models. I can reference 2, and I don't have to bring them all in. So for me, OpenUSD has revolutionized film and animation production, where they've got millions of assets in an animation, because that's where it came from. Pixar invented it.
Can you just briefly explain the core features or core advantages of OpenUSD?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's probably easier to go back and explain a bit of history where it came from. That might be a bit of a metaphor and explain. So Pixar in animation have thousands of assets, a single strand of hair, of the prince's hair, the shiny wooden floor, whatever it might be. And you'll have different people working on that asset. So you might have the modeler working on it, you might have the animation, you might have the lighting, whatever it might be. Now, the point of USD was it allows you to work on these simultaneously, but also copy and paste them into different places. That's probably the first one. The second one is it allows you to have multiple variants. I'll give you an example. So say, for example, I'm doing some heritage documentation. Now, the reality of how real that looks is based completely on the lighting that you give it. Okay, so if I've got a bright sunny day and I'm enlightening it from the front, there's no shadows, I get a very, very flat measurement, very flat texture. It will be true, but I'll only see the detail, the tool marks, the chisels, if I use, say, rigged in light or different lighting. Now, ordinarily, if I wanted to do that, I'd have to do two different models. Okay, and I could use whatever technique I'm using, but I'd have to do two different models and import those to view them side by side and click them and then view. With OpenUSD, it's a single variant. So I click it and then it brings the lighting model in. So it allows me to just referencing. I'm not importing things. I can bring a massive model to my desktop. I don't have to import everything. It's a bit like a HTML page. Okay, if I'm building a web page, I get the copy from one area, I get the text from another area, I get the video with a link to my Vimeo or YouTube. It aggregates them. Essentially, that's what OpenUSD does. It allows us to aggregate information, and it will take information from all sorts of things. For me, the most exciting thing, I guess, is not very sexy, but it's about how do we preserve this in the future? The beauty of OpenUSD is that it doesn't matter if it's an E57 file now or it's an E96 file in 10 years' time, which is different. It'll still be able to use both. So there's a forward compatibility with this. We're not at the behest. If JPEGs change tomorrow and we've got rid of them.
What makes you claim this?
Just because I spent a lot of time studying it. I've been writing about it since I found out about 3 or 4 years ago. Because the pain for digital twins for me has always been data from different places. So I make a Rhino model and I'm using a point cloud, and then I've got a CAD model, and then I've got a photogrammetry mesh model. How do I bring all these in? So I was looking at a way of doing that. In fact, I'd go so far to say is that, although I habit the geomatics industry, I don't think I've learned very much from the geomatics industry in the last 10 years. Most of what I learned is going out to the film effects business and finding out how do they manage these massive models? Because we see people ooh and ah over a drone model of a church, and you go, have you not seen Lord of the Rings? It's like the film industry is doing so much more with spatial imagery than we ever dream of. We get excited if we can zoom in and see a photogrammetric mesh, and you go, oh, isn't that pretty? Yeah, but we only do the outside. We don't do the inside. They do the inside as well. So what I've been doing is stealing, borrowing, learning from the film effects business, and then bring that back into reality capture workflows. You have to keep up to date with what's going on, the latest scanners, the latest SLAM devices, drones, this whole 360 anti-gravity thing, which is just amazing. Going into Gaussian splats gives us a sense of tools and things, which reason I don't retire is because it's too bloody exciting. I'm getting tools I dreamed of when I was a little boy doing that. And now they're here for me to play with. But having that palette of tools and knowing what are the limitations of each one is when you say, why am I an expert in it? It's just because I've tried them and I know what isn't appropriate. And so you can make recommendations, because the people who are commissioning these don't know what questions they should be asking. So I've got in the back of my, I'm just writing this book I've written is a dynamic book, because you write a book about digital twins and by the time the ink's dry, it's obsolete because there's so much going on. But in the back of the book, I'm writing 100 beautiful questions everybody should ask about digital twins.